In the Fama Fraternitatis, the brothers speak in the language of a garden. They warn of weeds that must be pulled out. They praise the good root that endures. They speak of those who sow and those who choke the seed. And then they make a curious promise that to the worthy they will give a catalogue, to be sharply studied, not merely stories to be heard, but things to be examined with the eyes, as if the true teaching would be carried not only in words, but in signs. Our trail begins in Geneva, in the workshop of Jean Crespin. In 1572, he prints Jean de Serres' Commentarium de Statu Religionis, a history of the French wars of religion. On its pages, amid chronicles of kings and martyrs, there appears a carved green man, leaves curling from his brow and mouth. In a city of exiles and confessors, this face in foliage becomes more than decoration. It is a quiet emblem of life preserved underground, a symbol that the Reformed faith still has roots. A year later, in 1573, another Genevan printer takes up the emblem. Eustache Vignon, Crespin's successor in all but name, issues Robert Constantine's Supplementum Languae Latini, a dictionary of obscure Latin words. A serious, scholarly book, yet here too the green man returns. Crespin and Vignon are not merely keeping blocks in a drawer, they are keeping a visual vocabulary alive. In their shops, symbols are preserved with the same care as texts. The green man becomes a marker in their private catalogue, a sign that the old route is still feeding new learning. 4 decades later, the emblem has travelled. In 1613, Antonio Albizi's Tractus Brevis is printed in Kraus in Germany. A concise Christian tract, 10 principles of doctrine, yet on its title page appears a green man again. Not the same block as Geneva, but closely imitated. The same crown of leaves, the same staring face emerging from the foliage. Between Geneva and this German press lies Frankfurt, the book fair, the highways of the Republic of Letters. Somewhere along those roads, someone had seen Crespin's emblem and thought it worth copying. The green man has crossed confessions and borders, moving from Huguenot polemic to German devotional print. By 1617, the world has changed again. The Rosicrucian manifestos have appeared. Controversy is raging. Under the name Theophilus Schweighardt, Daniel Mogling publishes Pandora Sexti Atetis, a defence of the Fraternitas Christi Rosicrucians. The book does not need a green man on its title to belong in this story. Its author moves in the same circles as those who use the emblems. Paracelsian physicians, alchemical printers, readers of Hasselmer and the Fama. In Mogling's world, catalogues are not merely lists of books, but collections of figures, devices, and signs. Symbols to be studied as sharply as any text. The trail of the green man does not run only through theology. In 1610, Tycho Brahe's Astronomy Instaurati Programmanasta presents a reformed astronomy, an attempt to restore the true structure of the heavens. On its printed face, we meet the Green Man once more. The language matches the emblem, an instauratio of science, a cleansing of old errors, a return to the first design, all framed by the same vegetal guardian that watched over Crespin's Huguenot histories. In Tycho's hands, the Green Man presides over a new reading of the stars. 17 years later, in 1627, Tycho's heir, Johannes Kepler, completes the Tabulae Rudolphinae in Ulm. Kepler inherits more than observations. His tables, too, are announced as a restoration of collapsed astronomical knowledge. Where Tycho's emblem appeared, we now glimpse the same culture of signs, printers, and mathematicians who move in the orbit of Frankfurt, where alchemists, Paracelsians, and Rosicrucian sympathisers buy and sell their books under the same carved devices. While these currents gather on the continent, the Green Man has quietly crossed the Channel. In 1584, William Cecil, Elizabeth I chief minister, publishes Justita Britannica, printed by Thomas Fortrillier. Fortrillier is a Huguenot, trained in Geneva. Carrying Crespin's craft and ornament to London, in Cecil's book on English justice, a Genevan Green Man now appears in the service of the state. It is a subtle signal. The same emblem that framed French Huguenot struggle now sits beneath the name of England's most powerful Protestant statesman. By 1607, the symbol has entered courtly literature. William Alexander's Monarchy Tragedies are printed in London by Valentine Sims for Edward Blunt. Sims is one of Shakespeare's printers. Blunt will later help publish the first folio. In their hands, Geneva's ornaments are reused in a new context. Tragedies of kings, empire, and the fall of states. The Green Man, once a mark of reformed silence, now haunts the threshold of Jacobean drama, quietly watching as questions of power and conscience play out upon the stage. Before all this, in 1591, another book passes through the presses of Frankfurt, John Dee's Monas Hieroglyphica, printed by Johann Wechel and Peter Fischer, Huguenot-linked printers at the very centre of the Frankfurt trade. The Monas is a book of pure symbols, a catalogue of signs to be contemplated, not merely read. It is here, in this world of ciphers and Kabbalah, that the Green Man emblem moves among these readers, mathematicians, mystics, and theologians who will later stand at the threshold of Rosicrucian thought. In 1652, the symbolic tradition has found a guardian in England. Elias Ashmole publishes the Theatrum Chemicum Britannicum in London, gathering the scattered alchemical poetry of the realm. Ashmole collects these manuscripts, preserves Rosicrucian pamphlets, and moves in the circles that will give rise to early Freemasonry. In his hands, old emblems resurface in new combinations. The Green Man, now long embedded in London ornament, stands on familiar ground. At the meeting point of alchemy, antiquarianism, and Protestant memory. Alongside Ashmole's learned compilations, the emblem continues to appear in the world of the theatre. In 1616, Ben Jonson's Siyanus His Fall is gathered into his grand folio of works, printed by the same elite circle of London stationers who inherited Voltaire's and Sim's ornaments. These plays carry forward the visual language that Geneva had crafted a century before. Symbols that once marked martyr books and dictionaries now adorn court masks and Roman tragedies. Even earlier in 1598, Shakespeare's Lucrece goes through the press of Valentine Sims. Here the Geneva-derived ornament appears again, the same foliate language framing a poem of violation, guilt, and political renewal. Printers do not explain their devices, they let them work in silence. But the continuity is clear. The same green man that watched over Crispin's Huguenot histories now stands quietly on the edge of Shakespearean London. And earlier still, 1593, we find the world of George Peele and the life and death of Jack Straw. Printed in the raw years of the commercial stage, this play about rebellion and the body politic emerges from shops already stocked with imported ornaments, leaves and masks and faces and foliage. By the time Shakespeare's career begins in earnest, the Green Man is already part of London's printed scenery. Taken together, these are not isolated curiosities. They form a catalogue of their own, a sequence of appearances spanning theology, science, drama, magic, and law. From Crespin to Vignon in Geneva, to Cecil and Voltaire in London, to Tycho and Kepler in the Reformed Heavens, to Dee, Mogling, and Ashmole in the esoteric underground, the Green Man moves as a silent witness. When the Fama speaks of roots and weeds and sowing, when it promises a catalogue to be studied sharply, it speaks from within this world, a world where pictures and prints are part of the message. The Green Man is not the only sign, but he is one of the clearest. A face half hidden in leaves, passed from block to block, city to city, across the very network that carried the Rosicrucian manifestos into history. He is the mark in the margin, telling those who know how to look that the root is older and the garden wider than the text alone will ever admit.